We have a medical doctor in line, and that is Dr. Sylvia Wilson. Good afternoon to you. This is Newsspin. You are on the air. Hello, good afternoon to you, Doc.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, team.
Good afternoon.
It has been days of trying to get you.
Today's your lucky day.
And especially, yes, and just a few minutes, I have so much to say.
Yeah.
And that is concerning. I've listened to a lot of the arguments on the St. Jude's issue, and I go back to the time when I entered the profession. I started here in 1990, and Sir John had the layout for the new hospital. Okay, and the discussion it should be built on the old V8 Victoria Hospital, or whether it should be built on the old Victoria Hospital, or whether a new site would be selected. And the reason for selecting a new site was the electricals and the plumbing of the old site was no longer relevant to a modern structure. Now, when we look at the old St. Jude's, whether the electricals, and I heard the former Prime Minister say that there is no character in the box. But we have to look at the services that are being rendered to the population, whether we will be able to have the modern emergency room, the modern intensive care units, the cancer services, neonatal, which is for the newborns and so on, maternity services, surgical services, and a number, even neurosurgery and burn services. So the fact remains, this is something of national importance. And I see a lot of politics being played here and this and that. But what we need to understand, when somebody gets involved in an accident or somebody has to go on dialysis, no question is asked whether you're red or yellow. Okay? And on our passports, we do not see red or yellow. We don't see St.Lucia. So the question of the healthcare is very important to every St.Lucia. And are we going to use another $100 million or $200 million to invest in a structure that in the next 10 years we will have to be looking for some other place? Because if the electricals cannot maintain the equipment in the operating room or in the intensive care units, or in the obstetrics or the maternity, and all of the services that are supposed to have equipment that requires, that is more than, don't even ask for x-rays, CT scans, x-rays and so on. You're going to look for another fire at St. Jude's Hospital. So we need to think, it's not a question of winning votes, but it's a question of whether we are delivering the services to our people.
But Dr. Wilson, let me ask you, so why haven't we heard from the St.Lucia Medical and Dental Association on this issue?
Well, ask the Medical and Dental Association president on that. But I'm talking on a point of view as a St. Lucian and as a professional. You understand? Because in the next 10 years or next years, we will still be faced looking for a proper hospital, because we have to take into consideration we have an international airport, an international airport with flights coming from all over the world. All right, and if we look at hospitals around the world, it's not 24 buildings all over the place. You understand me? You need to connect we need to connect the services. Let me give you an example, okay? Let us say, for example, let me just give you a small example. Okay, a pregnant woman is about to deliver, all right? And she goes through let us say, from the emergency room or the maternity. Sometimes they go straight to the maternity. But from maternity, you will have to go to the neonatal units, because if the baby has any problems, you'll have to go to the neonatal units, or sometimes to operating theater. These are supposed to be services that are connected. You cannot move from go outside and come inside and go outside. No, this is not logical. And look at the hospital next door, what you call Laminar. And yes, Laminar, it's you have a 4-story building, just surgical, okay? Neurosurgery, that is sort of brain and so on, bone surgery, eye surgery, just surgical units and intensive care services. So are we being serious in this country when it comes to healthcare? All right. Now I listened to INTN and I listened to Silas and the other gentleman who is an engineer, and they said that they remodeled the Denry Hospital. But listen, you remodel Denry Hospital, yes, you fix up the roof and did all of that. But are the services modern? And the area that place is for the ambulance to end up in somebody's house. All right? Are you talking about healthcare? I'm really serious. Are we really serious about healthcare? So I think when people sit in parliament and talk, they must understand that not every St.Lucian is dumb, and St.Lucians go to health services, hospitals outside of St.Lucia, whether it is in Canada, whether it is in Martinique, whether it is in the UK, whether it's anywhere, and we'll realize that what we are doing, that we're putting ourselves back. And if we have people who are patriotic and nationalistic, will understand in our parliament, will understand that we must have services that will last us for the next 20 or 40 years, and will invest our monies properly. The new structure, or the so-called box, does not belong to any politician. It belongs to the taxpayers of St. Lucia, and it is the responsibility of politicians when they are in leadership to ensure that they put in the services, they have policies that when they leave, that our people are served properly. Now, so, you know, and you spoke about George Odlum and John Compton. When I was a child, I remember George Odlum used to be sitting every weekend with his sister in Miku. And there was that big thing about George Odlum is a communist, George Odlum is this, and so John, and these two guys were always discussing. Yes, always discussing. They were not enemies. Okay? They were never enemies, although they had the politics. But right now in St. Lucia, we are too divided as to what is red and yellow. And this thing with St. Jude's has gotten out of proportion. So we need to invest our money properly. If we are going to spend 200 million, we have to ensure that that will serve us for the next 30 years.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for your contribution. Just there from Dr. Sylvia Wilson speaking on St. Jude Hospital controversy.